Hello and welcome to Scoring Live's 2019 Prep Football Preview Special presented by Hawaii Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. I'm Spencer Honda to get you caught up on everything you need to know about the upcoming Hawaii High School football season. We're going to be taking a look at 19 storylines for 2019. But before we can do a little bit of preview, let's do a little bit of review of what happened a season ago. 2018 saw a historic change to a 3-division OIA-ILH Interleague regular season schedule that brought much anticipated matchups around the island of Oahu. History was made as Mililani quarterback Dylan Gabriel became the all-time leading passer in Hawaii high school football, eventually leading the Trojans to become the OIA's first open division champion. A long 61-year rough ride finally ended for Roosevelt as it captured its first OIA title in Division II, the first league crown brought back to Makiki since the Rough Riders were still in the ILH.
Let's go, baby!
Speaking of which, St. Louis repeated as ILH Open champs while Iolani represented in Division I. St. Francis ran through an undefeated D2 season before an ineligible player forced them to forfeit the majority of its games, making way for Pac-5 as the ILH's Division II state representative. A few months later, it would be announced the Saints wouldn't trot to a football field ever again. But on the Big Island, Hilo retained his BIIF Division I crown while the Kamehameha Hawaii Warriors eked past Kona Waina to take the Division II title. Maui bested crosstown rival Baldwin for the MIL Division I championship, while Lahaina Luna once again took the D2 title to the west side and added Kings of Maui to its list of accomplishments after going 8-0 against all Valley Idol squads. And over on Kauai, Kapa'a reclaimed the KIF title to make its way back to the D2 state tournament. In the end though, the Crusaders and Luna still proved to be the best of their divisions with a 3-peat state championship reign, while Waipahu proved to be the definition of progression in its chase for the championship. After winning the OIA D2 title in 2017, the Marauders came right back in 2018 to take the OIA Division I crown and then the ultimate prize with their first Koa trophy. Our All-Hawaii Players of the Year helped pave the way of success for their teams. But now we turn the page to the new school year, where it's time to strap it up and do it all again. Who's gonna dominate the scene in 2019? Well, I don't think there's any better place to start than with our 3 defending state champions. 26 is the number of games the Crusaders have won in a row heading into 2019. You'd have to go back to September 29 of 2016 for their last loss, a 13-point defeat by the hands of the Punahou Buff and Blue. But since that night, St. Louis has added 3 Koa trophies, and now the chase is on for number 4. 26 is also the number of seasons that Cal Lee has been at the forefront of St. Louis football. There's no denying the facts. With Lee in charge, the Crusaders are nearly unstoppable, with 18 combined Prep Bowl and state championship titles to his name, in addition to 4 runner-up finishes.
Well, we don't really talk about, what happened 3 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. It's like, what we're going to do now. That's important. Everything that we did is in the past, and we're not looking back. We're looking ahead.
This year's squad once again touts multiple players with FBS Division I offers. While good for those players' futures, Lee is primarily focused on what they do with the St. Louis uniform on.
They got to work on getting better, It's not what you did last year or last month. You got to get better now. When you think you're good enough, that's when you're wrong. You always got to keep working hard to become better, So that's what we try to tell the boys, No matter how many scholarships, how good looking you are, doesn't matter, You got to practice and try to become better.
That attitude is what has helped St. Louis continually reload year after year. Returning will be 6 All-Hawaii selections from a year ago, including what is expected to be 2 of the state's top players, quarterback Jaden Delore and linebacker Jordan Botello.
We had a lot of great players leave, but over here at St. Louis, there's so much talent. The next man steps up and just plays and competes, so that's why we're able to reload. Well, this year we have a lot of returning juniors that are going to be seniors, and they're all going to step up, and you should just see leaders out of us, and you should see great things coming from us and our team.
When you win 3 state championships, you know what it takes to win, along with a few other lessons along the way.
So last year I didn't really know what to expect. I was kind of leaning on the seniors last year, Arasi and Ben and Mana. But this year going in, I think I have a stronger mind And I know what to expect from the OIA teams and the ILH team, so I feel like I'll be more relaxed coming into the game. Wish I knew, like, keep my body healthy. That caused me to miss a game, the couple A game, so I think coming in recovery after the game is key this year. So.
At the end of the day, there's only 24 hours to work with, and how you choose to spend those minutes is key to the success in anything.
A lot of hard work, dedication, and a lot of sacrifice. You know, you don't get to go out as much and go to the beach, because you do that, you lose out because other guys are over here putting in work. So I would say sacrifice is a big thing.
Sacrifice was a key lesson learned for the Waipahu Marauders in their quest of conquering the Division 1. Coach Bryson Carvalho had been slowly building over the years to that moment of hoisting the Koa Trophy. And even last season in itself, it still took a while for the team to get on board.
You know, having half the team out with academic probation and just, you know, just a bunch of different guys not following rules. And, you know, once they all kind of figured out, you know, shit, we can be a pretty good football team. So I think it was really the Lelehua game where we had, for the first time, our entire team, you know, they're all healthy, they all follow the rules, they all have good grades. And to be able to see, like, what we're able to do, it gave our coaches, you know, some confidence, gave the kids confidence, and we're able to, you know, just kind of finish through from there, have a good season.
And with any team dealing with new success, it's about trying to sustain it and not getting complacent. To help with that, the Marauders do have a handful of returning multi-year starters, with All-Hawaii Offensive Player of the Year Alfred Failanga leading the charge.
Like, for my freshman year, we didn't really have that chip on our shoulder. Like, we didn't have like that bullseye target as we have like this season. Like, my senior year coming into it, like, everybody's like knowing, oh, Waipahu is a state champion team. We need to take those guys out, but you know, we're not really gonna let that get to our heads. You know, we're just gonna play the same football we've always been playing, and you know, just try to get out the best season we can get.
Over on the west side of Maui, the Lunas have proven to be able to sustain their success to mirror the Crusaders with a three-peat Division II state championship run. While their offense can be as unpredictable as their wild state title games the past few years, Lahaina Luna's overall system is nothing but. So when co-head coach Garrett Tejada announced he would have to temporarily step aside this season to attend to his personal life, longtime coach Dean Rickard stepped up to assume his role with not much of a change at all.
You know, yeah, I have been part of this staff for the past 32 years, since 1987. We've actually been together as a staff just about that long. As we all know, Coach Watson has been the foundation of this team since the early 80s. He was my coach. So everything that we've been taught from when I was a player here, what Lahaina Luna stands for, will continue as is. And we all know that when Coach G left, that was kind of a surprise. But at the same time, it was a temporary hiatus, as we all describe it. But as far as transitioning, it's basically going to be status quo, and it hasn't changed in 40 years, and I don't think it'll be changing in the next, definitely not the next year or so, so that's for sure.
And like Waipahu, Lahaina Luna returns an All-Hawaii Offensive Player of the Year in Joshua Tejada, along with a handful of multi-year starters. 2 years ago, the Lunas had an epic 7-overtime duel for the state title, and last season they mounted a 27-point second-half rally to retain the crown. They have the experience, and the system is set.
Offense and defense the same mentality, same coaching staff, always trying to preach us to be young men and to be the best we can. I just feel like it just comes with hard work, from starting from right after our state game straight to the weight room and always practicing and having our hard work come into like our passion and stuff, and coming to work. But I feel like our biggest lesson was just rallying as a team and being the best we can.
Coming up next, we'll take a look at how one of the bigger overall stories of the 2018-2019 school year affects the new landscape with where the dominoes fall. And later, we take a look at some new faces and familiar faces looking to steer their programs toward that championship goal. ScoringLive's 2019 Prep Football Preview Special is presented by Hawaii Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. As referenced before, the past school year brought the sudden closure of St. Francis School out in Manoa. While many of its athletics teams were able to close the book with a Koa Trophy, its football team was left stranded well before then with an abrupt ending due to an ineligible player. Now many of those underclassmen have been dispersed throughout the island. Our 2018 Male Pizza Hut Newcomer of the Year award winner Bubba Aina Chavez was our preseason Offensive Player of the Year pick a season ago. He's now at Campbell, adding to an already potent offensive attack with 1,000-yard rusher Sky Lactoan and playmakers Titus and Tamatoa Mokiel Ati Malala to name a few.
One thing I'm trying to take to get to some of these new guys that we have on our team is mindset. We just got to talk to them. I mean, they look up to like me, my brother, Poki, Peter. They look up to like guys like us. So us just showing that we can ball and just how to work, you know, how to just give it everything you got and just talk to them and encourage them. It helps them, I feel like.
There's a lot to be excited about in Eva Beach, and it's something they went through a year ago, starting 4-0 but dropping 3 straight before rebounding to a state semifinal finish.
They put a lot of hype on us. We had to live up to the hype. Although we did lose, it just helped us just to remain humble and keep grinding because we live another day and just get better. After all those losses we took, it's just realizations to just, we got to do this. Not for us, for everybody, this whole community.
Sabres also landed former St. Francis offensive coordinator Jamison Lee, joined by fellow Castle grad Blaise Soares to take over the defense. Head coach Darren Johnson's philosophy is that the best 11 players will be on the field. And now as a senior, multi-year starter and two-way playmaker Poki'i Atkins Kupuka'a has had to try his share in leading the team.
Get them working, hard work. I always tell them work hard every day. I tell them gonna pay off every day. I always tell them to get ready. I always play around. They always play around all of that. I just tell them, cuz get up, get on the field. It's hard. Work hard today. And look at them. They're working hard right now, so they better start working out all day. So.
Other destinations for Saints players is Farrington, where Bubba's brother Jonah will now try to win the QB spot. Also joining him is 6'7" tackle and Oregon verbal commit Fa'aope Laloulu.
They bring in leadership, you know. They've been at a program where they've been successful, and you know, coming here, you know, the kids can see that, you know, in order to be successful, you have to put in the work. And they've been out here, especially Jonah Chavez. He's been real vocal, and it's just good for our guys to follow, you know, somebody that knows how to win.
Former St. Francis coach Kip Akana will also transition to being just a parent on the sidelines, with sons Chase and Kael now playing for the OIA Division II champion Roosevelt Rough Riders. Also joining them is Shepherd Kit Kahuna, whose older brother Shaston ran the offense just 2 years prior.
I played football with all the Roosevelt boys when I was younger. And so it just felt like I was coming into my other side of the family, you know. Well, since St. Francis closed, it's just starting a new journey for each one of us. They kept bugging me to play Roosevelt for 2 years already, and the coaches I know very well. And they just bring good energy to each one of us. They just welcomed us into a family instead of leaving us left out. But at first, when we first came here, it felt kind of like a bummer because we're not playing with the same team that we had, but we came into a team that has we're more closer because we all grew up with each other when we was younger, and we all played football together.
While older bro ran the Veer offense since coach Kui Kaho'o Ilaha's first 2 seasons at the helm, last year saw the Rough Riders open it up with QB Sky Ogata being lethal both through the air and on the ground.
We're gonna throw the ball a little bit more, but we're gonna stay with the running game. We're gonna establish that first, but we are gonna pass the ball a little bit more. Yeah, we got a lot of guys that can catch the ball this year too. Yeah, so he's gonna put it out more this year. Yeah.
But with St. Francis closing, it unfortunately left Pac-5 out to dry. Because of the initial 2-year pilot program of the OIA-ILH Interleague Agreement, the Wolfpack had to remain as the only ILH team in Division II, and thus unable to qualify for postseason play.
We're going to practice, we're going to play games every week, we're going to play hard, and then at our last game we pack it up and go home. That's what it is right now, and there's nothing we can do about it, which is... I'm not gonna say. You know, our message is we play for pride. We're playing for each other, and for the love of the game, and that's basically what we talk about. Is getting better every day, working hard, and all the good things that this game offers these guys is. It's basically what's all we can play for right now. We can't play for a championship. We can't play to go to the States, so we're playing for pride.
We also saw a movement in the Big Island Interscholastic Federation with its 3 8-man football teams in Ka'u, Kohala, and Pahoa moving up to 11-man football to join Division II. while Konawaina and Honoka'a move up to Division 1.
Oh, 8-man, what is that, 8-man? You know? But they know the regular football, 11-man, so we lost a lot of kids because they didn't want to play 8-man, huh? They wanted to play 11-man football, so figure if we move up, we might have some players returning to our school.
11-man is a lot more fast-paced than 8-man. 8-man is kind of one cut, boom, gone. But 11-man, you still have 3 extra guys, so actually I was hella excited because I was really excited to compete with Hilo or Kamehameha and all that.
On the Garden Island, the Kauai Interscholastic Federation declared for Division II classification. With a new Hawaii High School Athletic Association proposal approved for the new season, it means we'll now see 5 team tournaments at the state D1 and D2 championships, with the OIA having 2 spots in both brackets.
I think the tiers are pretty accurate. I mean, if you look at the talent and you look at the speed that the D1 teams are playing at, and where we're at, we're not that far behind. It's good that we're in the D2 tier. It's competitive. It's very competitive here on Kauai, and also we're looking at the Oahu teams that are and the rest of the state that are in D2. It's very competitive. So we're good where we're at. But if it comes a time where we're going to have to go back to D1 or whatever tier it's going to be, our job is just to focus on coaching up these kids to be ready to play. So.
Defending KIF champ Kapa'a finished as state runner-up for the 3rd time in 4 years last season, what many have dubbed the curse, since the Warriors have had a number of state runner-up finishes across several sports in recent years. That was until last winter when the boys soccer team took home the Koa Trophy, in which quarterback Kahanu Davis was on the field for that moment.
I think to change that, we just need to play like we're always just play for the 4th quarter, no matter what the score is. Play to win, not to not lose. So that's what we did in soccer. That's what we played to win. Make sure we didn't blow that lead. So we broke the curse there. So we're just trying to build off of that win and just play to win.
Kapa'a's key to success has been that vintage style football, hard-nosed defense and just grinding it out on the ground. Nothing's changed in scheme, so the only thing to do is to get stronger and put in work in the weight room.
We're going to be a young team this year, so some of the young guys are stepping it up already, just through the weight room. You can see that builds confidence in them, and they get more vocal and they work harder. So, like I said, leaders don't have to be seniors. They can be a freshman, just their actions speaks for itself. So, I'm satisfied with where we're at with leadership right now. I think we got to get better, but that always happens. We grow tight and it'll come.
Coming up next, we'll take a visit to some teams with new head coaches looking to lift their program off to a good start. And we'll also revisit some coaches who are now looking to build upon what they were able to do with a full season under their belt. Welcome back to ScoringLive's 2019 Prep Football Preview Special, presented by Hawaii Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. From the west side of Maui, we go to the west side of Oahu, where there's a new man in charge of the Waianae Sea Riders. Last year was one of their worst seasons in nearly 60 years after finishing with a 1-8 record. Now Mike Fanonga steps in after more than 30 years of college-level coaching experience.
I told the players, I want to treat it like a D1 program, because that's where I've been coaching, the D1, and that's all I know.
Waianae's practice only lasts about an hour and 45 minutes, but there's a fast-paced, high intensity to it with time-scheduled periods, much like a college practice.
I want the players to go home before it gets dark, and that's my whole thing is I want them to go home and enjoy their family life, sit down with the family, have dinner together, and that's my whole thing, my whole thinking behind it and my philosophy. And I've been around a lot of good coaches, and I've learned it from them, and I want to give it back to them.
And after being around so many coaches, Fanonga now takes his first stab at being a head coach, with DASH being the main word and acronym day in and day out.
So discipline, attitude, sacrifice, and habits. So you got to be able to change all that, especially when a new guy comes in and change the program. But discipline is the number one priority here. That's what I was told, and that's what I was being told, and I'm still being told. So that's all right. But our kids will get it.
His wife is from Oahu, and his daughter is a Punahou graduate. But it was the natural scenery that drew the American Samoa native to the west side. And while a once storied program that dominated for much of the late 90s, Fanonga is ready for the challenge.
Again, like I said earlier, the kids deserve better. And that's what I'm trying to do is they deserve better. not just here in Waianae, but I guess, on the islands. There's some schools they're trying to catch up, like ourselves and other schools. Yes, we need to work on facilities. But other than that, I'm not crying or complaining. But yes, I'm excited to be a head coach, and I'm just going to do whatever I can in my will to help these young people and young-hearted and young-minded, so get better.
Waianae's Whanonga headlines a handful of schools with new head coaches looking to get things started. We have a pair of Coach Freds returning for another stint, with Fred Salanoa back at Radford and Fred Lau at Honoka'a once again. Also on the Big Island, Wyatt Nahale helms Kealakahe, while Kaluku Maiava tries his hand at Hawaii Prep. And now that brings us to Kamehameha, Hawaii, where Sean Perry takes over after being an assistant for many years. Now he's looking for the Warriors to be fast both on and off the field.
My senior class, their legacy is how they leave the young ones. So the most important thing to me is how they groom the younger group. You can leave and you can be great, but if you didn't set the foundation right for the younger ones, then it wasn't worth anything. So
a lot of responsibility is already hanging on the seniors' shoulders before games have even started. But when that does, you can expect the Warriors to be going at an up-tempo pace. Other than that, it's very much the same, with Perry making a smooth transition from assistant to head coach. But it's still important to him for the feel of things to be a little different.
I want to say got some really good leadership going on. My staff is really, really on board. The kids are fired up. There's a lot of enthusiasm. The energy is really up, and it's a little bit different. It feels different. It's hard to put into a word, but the way it feels, it's definitely different than the past.
The Warriors are looking to build off a BIF D2 title and a trip to States a season ago. That wasn't without having some controversy though. With already having a spot in the League Division II Championship, KS Hawaii opted to forfeit its final regular season game against Hilo.
We got to be better as coaches. Our kids put out, and I want us as coaches to know this year that it's on us. We need to make sure that we are doing everything in our power to be better every day, setting the example, preparation, teaching, corrections. So,
like Perry, over on the North Shore of Oahu, Kahuku's Sterling Carvalho previously spent time coaching at the JV level before eventually taking over for the varsity. Now entering his second season after an OIA runner-up finish, he's got the Red Raiders looking to believe in the process.
It's in our rearview mirror, but it's sometimes good to bring it up so we know, especially for a lot of our seniors now, the pain. We going with our motto this year. We're going to look to believe. Got to believe in each other. We got to believe that, we've been there, done that. We can do it again. So we just got to trust in each other and believe in the system. Believe that we can do the job and go from there.
The week in, week out grind of the new Open Division regular season slate combined with a handful of significant injuries hampered Kahuku throughout 2018. Still, they were able to finish in the state semifinals. Now it's just about taking those lessons and growing from it for what should be another exciting and tough season.
It's tough. You got to try and get these kids up every single week, both mentally and physically. And so just to monitor that was something that's tough. Year two, my coaches and I, along with all the other coaches in this division, figuring out how to get the most of your players and being ready each and every single week.
One thing's for sure, the Red Raiders always have playmakers on defense and special teams, racking up points on our Pizza Hut DST scoreboard.
Just being a role model for these younger boys coming up, just showing them that practicing hard every day really does pay off in the game, and then that's what makes the game more easier when you play harder in practice and against your own team, because iron sharpens iron. But we show everything out on the field, hold off the talking and just let the pads do the talking for us.
While Kahuku looks to find a consistent offensive identity, they're not the only ones. Down in Kalihi, second-year coach Daniel Sanchez looks to switch it up in the ever-growing game of football.
Run the middle of the Oregon offense. I think the days of lining up two backs and playing smash mouth might be on his way out for us, And I think we have a lot of guys that can go down the field and make plays. So why not spread it out and see what happens from there? But we're still going to run the ball, more just in a single back set, and we're looking just to spread the field.
And on that note, it's crazy to think we're already 2 years removed from Kaiser spreading its numbers thin after having to forfeit all but one game in 2017 due to a low number of players. But in the first year of Coach Tim Seaman's return to Hawaii Kai, the Cougars went even with a 4-4-1 record overall and a 4th place finish in the OIA Division II, good enough to warrant a spot in the playoffs.
The kids have put that, what has happened in the past, and that's where it needs to be. Kids are resilient. Again, that's one of the lessons that, athletics will teach us, to be resilient, to battle through tough times. And now it's time to progress. And like I said before, move forward. We've got guys that have been there. They've been in game situations, and that's a big deal. Last year, we didn't have hardly anybody with much varsity experience. Now we have a fairly decent-sized group of returnees that have been in tight battles, know what it takes, and now it's a matter of executing and getting it done.
Team up. Other things you guys can do to keep the team first, guys, is to practice the technique. There's no sense in teaching all this technique, and then we go into a game time situation and you guys forget about it. Now you're just becoming selfish.
One of the caveats of the OIA-ILH interleague agreement was to help level the playing field and create more parity within divisions. With St. Francis gone, it allowed the Golden Hawks to move to Division II, where they last played in 2015 with a 7-win season. Since then, they've only won one game in both the old and new look Division I.
It's been challenging going up against teams with high numbers. Historically, our teams are on the smaller side. Lucky to field 30 to 35 kids. So the longevity of not just playing an entire game, but playing 10 games a season too at the same time, those are where we start facing the challenges. We start seeing kids burn out and whatnot.
The week in, week out grind of an extended regular season schedule is something all coaches have had to deal with in the new system. Injuries can and will occur, especially with teams on the lower side of numbers that often have to have guys playing both ways.
Normally we're at 100 miles per hour running into the wall, and that mentality. We learned last year that that's something that we can't really be doing trying to be healthy. Have a little bit more sense of direction now.
Along with coaches having to change the style of practices, it's also just about who can outcoach who on game day.
Along the lines with more teams now, ideally, attrition becomes a problem, becomes a key factor. Now you got to kind of jumble some guys around and see if this guy can play here and so on and so forth. So I'm excited because that's kind of like what the narrative seems to be this coming season for the final year of the pilot. And then we'll see from there.
We'll also see how Moanalua rebounds from its lone loss a season ago. Na'amenehune marched through the regular season with an 8-0 record, but there still can only be one champion in the end, and their chase for the championship ended in the first round of the playoffs by the Castle Knights.
It wasn't that I was taking Coach John Howe and his boys lightly. It was more so I didn't prepare for the what-ifs. I looked into those types of things. I looked into Coach Howe's background, especially at Kahuku. I had an idea he could run the elephant, but I didn't think he was going to do it. I had an idea he would bring only 2 people, but I didn't think he was going to do it. And all that kind of stuff just unfolded in my lap that night, and it was just, one fell swoop, and that's it. So this time around, I'm covering all bases every single week.
Maybe Coach Savai Iselu was looking ahead into the future, because after the Knights rode the legs of now graduated workhorse in Tuli Punivai to the OIA Division I title game, Coach Howe is looking to go back to a traditional pass offense.
Well, now that I have throwing QBs, I got 2 of them. I got Kila and Mana. So we're going to go back to our basic roots, which is the passing offense. If worst case scenario, we do have enough to go back to a run game. I think this year is the most well-rounded position year that I've had the last 3 years.
With Howe at the helm, Castle has seen a bit of a resurgence for a school that has been dealing with overall dwindling numbers for some time. Whether that's a byproduct of the 3 divisions or because of Howe's success is to be seen. But for now, why not both?
I'm hoping that this team realized that we were just shy of finishing. And I want to teach every year that comes through us that we got to be able to finish what we start. The numbers are there. I love going against ILH. I love going against Iolani. You know, and they're small teams as well. It's just the inner league camaraderie that we have, especially with Damien. Eddie Kleneski was my roommate. We grew up together, so.
While Damien looks to build around the success they had last season with quarterback Jake Holtz and running back Amu Sulu, it was Iolani that got the best of them to advance to the state tournament. Like Moanalua, the Raiders had a good run through the regular season and seemed to be on a collision course headed towards one another in the postseason. They were stopped cold by the eventual champs Waipahu.
Every week is a new week. And that, you know, we played Waipahu, I think, the first or 2 games in the season, you know. And when we saw them in the playoffs, it was a totally different team. You know, they got better, you know, and their learning curve was so high where, you know, we did get better, but we didn't get as, improve as much as they did.
There will be lots of opportunities to show improvement for the Raiders as they return key players at each position, with the strength being the defense having 8 returning starters.
This is our second year playing with our juniors and first year with sophomores, but I think it's a great takeaway because we build chemistry throughout from 7th grade to 12th grade, you know, just being able to play with each other. You know, if we were to start fresh, then it would be a little delay, you know, having to get to know each other and play with each other and see how each other plays. But being with each other for 2 years now and just playing on the same varsity team under the same coaching staff, you know, that's a big plus for us.
Experience looks to be the key for teams and players all over entering into the second year of interleague matchups. Not only for that taste of competition, but playing in different atmospheres, especially for the ILH teams that typically would only have games at Aloha Stadium.
It's my sophomore year. We only got to play commitment in St. Louis twice, so that season was kind of a blur, but last year I was grateful that we had the chance to play in the open so that we could play, you know, go out to Waianae and play right next to the ocean, go out to Kuku and play against the Red Sea and Mililani and everybody else that we got to play. So it's always good competition because those guys can play, those guys can ball, but we're going to continue to do our thing against them and try and do our best.
And do their best they did, only taking defeats by the hands of Kauku and St. Louis. The Crusaders standing in the way as only one ILH team makes it to the state tournament, despite the Buff and Blue finishing at number 4 in our final Hawaiian Electric Power rankings. But that's the beauty of the interleague slate. Different teams makes for unique matchups, like the one against Farrington where Olakai's dad Asai is now on the coaching staff of.
For me, that's going to be crazy just because it's the first game of the season and you get all the jitters out, but I already know what he's going to tell me and I'm just waiting to play against him because, you know, he likes to talk a little game just like me, so it's the best of both worlds when I get home. But yeah, I'm excited to play against Farrington and my dad.
As for Punahou as a whole, there's several big holes left behind by last year's departed seniors, but they'll still have 7 starters returning on both sides of the ball.
I think they're a lot more confident, they're calm, they've been there before, they'll be able to share that with the other kids. It's always nice to have experience, but also nice to have experience that can play. So we have a lot of good kids back. We'll miss the ones that left. They're really good. We'd be happy if they came back, but I'm happy with this group. They're working hard. They're coming together as a team, and it's going to be fun to be with them this year.
Quarterback Hugh Brady is back after tossing 26 touchdowns a year ago, the most out of any returning QB in the state. At his disposal will be 3 of their top 4 receivers from a year ago. And since the timing of when this interview was recorded, Brady announced his commitment to UPenn out of the Ivy League.
He's worked hard in the offseason as far as training, getting stronger and faster. He's talked to a lot of people. So he's had a very good summer. He's very competitive. He's had some offers for D1 now, and I think there's only more on the horizon. So he's excited about going to the mainland and playing against a quality team. And we have a lot of quality teams here too, so he's going to have a lot of challenges. So it's going to be exciting, but he's our trigger guy right now, and we're excited for him.
Speaking of big slingers, over in Kaimuki, returning home for this sophomore year is 6'4" quarterback Jaden Maiava, who will step in with former QB Jonah Fa'asoa moving to tight end. While big two-way lineman and last year's All-Hawaii Defensive Player of the Year Sama Pa'ama is gone to graduation, Bulldogs will still return top ball carrier Namis Aswenga Fu'ala'au.
We've been dependent on our trenches for all these years, and now to have a quarterback that can actually bring a little bit more spark. Not that Jonah did a bad job at all. I just feel that Jonah is even more effective where we have him now. And having Jaden come in definitely opens up an array of weapons and opportunities that we can have in offense.
As far as yardage went, Kaimuki was as balanced as it could get, with per-game averages of 158 yards through the air and 170 on the ground. Their 45 touchdowns was also good to be tied for 4th best in the state, but the ball just bounced a few different ways against them in losses in the OIA title game and later in the state semifinals.
You know, we're a scrappy team, and we're always going to be scrappy, and sometimes the ball rolls our way. But I see it as a tight race this year. Roosevelt's still the defending champs. We're definitely looking forward to that matchup. But any given Friday or Saturday, the best team's going to win, and sometimes the best team doesn't win. But that's just the beauty of the game, the team that comes up prepared. So ultimately, it's just, we're just going to try to focus on what we can do to prepare ourselves and take on the games one game at a time and just focus one game at a time, 1 week at a time.
Well, ultimately, it was Nana Cooley who moved from D1 to D2. Taltofi also contemplated moving the Bulldogs up to Division 1, but cited a lack of numbers as the reason for staying in Division 2.
There's nothing we can do with the numbers. There's a lot of things that we can point at that causes what the numbers, the issues that we have on our team and in our school. But really, just taking our focus off of that, ultimately what it comes down to is just building these kids up from the inside out. You're not going to get the best out of these kids unless they're confident about who they are and confident about what they can bring out in the field. And so it's really the same thing from year one and building the X's and O's of character and hard work. So.
Be sure to get your hands on a physical print copy of our Scoring Live 2019 Prep Football Preview with team breakdowns, predictions, and much more. Head on over to scoringlive.com/prep preview for details on how you can get it. Coming up in just a bit, we're going to be unveiling our preseason picks for all Hawaii offensive and defensive players of the year. Since Rod York became head coach of the Mililani Trojans in 2010, he's had a nice list of playmaking, prolific passing quarterbacks to show for. Trent McKinney, Jaron Morikawa, Mackenzie Milton, and now the current all-time passing yardage leader in Dylan Gabriel with nearly 10,000 career yards.
Probably the biggest difference is quarterback, because he's coming in as a junior from JV, and he's looking good, and I feel like we're going to do good this season with him.
So I guess the question is, who's next?
Now Brendan Agbayani Jr. looks like he's going to be the guy. He's going to be a junior. He's from our JV program, and he's been working very hard. He's definitely improved from February in the off season.
Yes, the last name is Agbayani. Former pro baseball player and current Iolani softball coach Benny is his uncle. And no time has not skipped back to the early 90s when his father was an offensive player of the year receiver out of St. Louis.
Probably the toughest throw is the deep middle and the sideline deep out. And today he can make those throws. He couldn't make those in February, but he can make those, definitely in the pylon, today. Now it'll be a question, can he do it when we're in full pads and he got blitzing linebackers and, ferocious D linemen coming at him.
And speaking of the Crusaders, they've been the ones to end the Trojans' title hopes in each of the past 2 state tournaments.
What they did to us, we normally do to the other teams. So it just, shows you how great a team they are. But, that's fueled our fire, fueled my fire. Well, whether we win it or not, it's all about the journey and but at the same time, we want that end result too. We want to be on top.
But records were meant to be broken, and fellow Mililani alum Vavai Malapiai's all-time rushing mark set just a few seasons ago may soon fall as well. Chasing him is Waipahu's Alfred Failonga, who's amassed more than 3,900 career yards with nearly 700 more to go for the number 1 spot. One day it'll mean something to him, but for now he knows he needs to put that aside and put the team first in his focus.
Honestly, when people say, I got to go out there, break the record and get this much yards, I don't really let that get to me. I'm just going to be the same guy, play the sport I love and, just do it for the team. Not really worry about my yards, but because eventually I just think that it's actually just going to come in handy when you're just working together as a team. But when you actually focus on one individual thing, I don't think that task is going to get done. So, just focus on coming together as a team and doing what we do best.
What's crazy is that he's missed 5 games last season due to injury, yet he still finished with the 4th most rushing yards in the state on a team that averaged 181 yards per game through the air, good for 5th best in Division 1. But here's what's even crazier.
My freshman, sophomore, junior year, I wasn't really in the weight room that much. Like, I didn't really care about like lifting or anything. Like, I was just more of the type of guy just like lift a few times and then get out. But like here, senior year is more different. Like, my mindset is to like train harder, you know, to have a better season than I had last couple of years and just to be more bigger than I was the few other years.
So with that, I think it's an easy preseason pick for Alfred Failonga to repeat as All-Hawaii D1 Offensive Player of the Year. The same goes for D2 OPOY with Lahaina Luna's Joshua Tejada, who turned out a state-best 19 rushing touchdowns while still sharing the rock with usually upwards of 10 different ball carriers per game. As for the Open Division, I said it earlier, St. Louis's Jaden DeLora and Jordan Botello will be 2 of the state's top players come this fall. Picking any quarterback under Ron Lee's run-and-shoot attack is usually a safe bet, and DeLora finished 3rd best in the state for passing yards while tossing 19 touchdowns and adding 10 more with his legs. Botello is verbally committed to Notre Dame, and it's not just his elite edge rushing abilities, but his clutch playmaking on the big stage. In each of the Crusaders' 3 biggest games last season with the ILH Championship and 2 state tournament games, Botello took the ball back the other way for 6 points. For our other preseason Defensive Player of the Year picks, Division 1 goes to Iolani's Lanaki Lepe, Division 2 goes back to Kaimaki with Kaulana Luna Jr. What makes these guys special is their versatility, fitting into that kind of linebacker DB hybrid position and having that ball hawking ability, whether it's getting a hand up on passes or bursting through the gaps to stop the run. And as we wrap things up for our 2019 Prep Football Preview Special, we'll take a look at the bigger picture of putting rivalries aside and unifying together when it comes to 808 versus everybody. Hawaii teams playing out-of-state competition is nothing new, as well as the senseless pride-fueled arguments that come along with it. With more Hawaii players shining in the spotlight on the national football stage, more and more colleges have come calling, just adding more fuel to the fire of 808 versus everybody matchups.
We're gonna go out and put on for the 808 state like always. My sophomore year, we went up to play Sarah High School up in California, and we showed out like we wanted to. So I think just going up to play, it's always a chip on our shoulder because we don't only represent Puno, we represent our family, represent our friends from the school and everybody from the state of Hawaii, just because we're just little island boys that love to ball. We love to play the game of football. So I think when we go out there, that's what the kind of mindset we're gonna have.
This season we'll see at least 13 out-of-state schools try their best against Hawaii. Headlining that will be the ultimate showdown. National powerhouse Bishop Gorman out of Las Vegas heading down to Aloha Stadium to take on St. Louis.
It should be a great game, a great competition. I know both sides are looking forward to it, and I know our team, we can't wait for that date, but we got to take care of the games before that. So, one game at a time and one day at a time.
We'll also see Mililani in a rematch against St. John Bosco, this time on its home turf in Central Oahu. Later, the Trojans will also welcome Liberty to John Kauinana Stadium.
You watch these guys on ESPN, and you only see some of the private schools go and play these teams. So, like I said, why not? Let's go play them. Instead of watching them, let's go touch it and feel it. Let's go taste it. Let's go get some of that action, and we like to be on the same field on the other side of the ball instead of on the sidelines or in the stands. And we learned a lot from Bosco, and the same token, like the SEC of Hawaii football, the ILH, they got all those dudes there in the big three. The only way you can get ready for them is you play teams that are better than them. So that's why we schedule all these other teams.
Punahou and Kauku will travel stateside with the Buff and Blue taking on Long Beach Poly, and the Red Raiders going up against Timpview in Utah.
It'll be a big challenge for us to go up there and play. So it's always fun to travel as a team and do team bonding. We'll be able to visit some schools up there while we're visiting. But again, just bringing everybody together against a quality team is really fun. It's great for the kids to see different kind of campuses. We meet the coaches as well, and we'll have some alumni at SC and UCLA. We're not sure which one we're going to visit yet, but we'll be able to see them. So that's always fun. But just the atmosphere, playing a team like that will be very exciting.
Hopefully we get a dub, because for the past years when Kauku leaves the island, We always lose, so we're trying to change that this year and show that we can play against other teams off of the island.
Campbell and Kapolei will have home rematches with O'Connor and Downey respectively, while Konawaian takes on nationally ranked Mission Viejo and Kamehameha plays Fungai Tua from American Samoa, just to name a few.
We look forward to having them and to hosting them and seeing the mainland squad, because it's good for the kids. It exposes our kids and it gives them exposure against a mainland team. I want to expose our kids, and being that I played for the coach, Coach Casey, it was easy, and Utah is trying in the upcoming years to try to get us, and we're playing good football, and when you play good football, people want to play against you.
Whether it's about the experience, competition, or exposure, it's still football, but sometimes it just means a little more.
I feel like it's pride, playing for pride, not just for us, but like the whole 808. We feel like not only us, but everyone else can compete with the mainland teams, and that's just our time to show what we got.
Be sure to pick yourself up a physical print copy of our 2019 Pret Football Preview, team breakdowns, predictions, and much more. For details on how you can get one, log on to ScoringLive.com/PretPreview. As we embark on a new football season and a new school year, let's remember to always be respectful. Whether it's players, coaches, referees, friends, fans, family, or classmates, we are all part of the Hawaii community. We often don't necessarily agree with one another, and that's okay. But it's important to try to come to an understanding by leaving the negativity aside and supporting with aloha and pride. A huge special mahalos to Brien, Kalani Takase, and Michael Lasquero. I'm Spencer Honda, and to stay up to date with everything happening with prep sports in the islands, make sure to check out ScoringLive.com, your source for Hawaii high school athletics.